Adoptive parents took me in only for the money and tried to stop me from going to college. So I ran away from home and met my grandma, who was sending all the money to take care of me. I remember the day I found out the truth like it was yesterday. I was 17, just a few months away from graduating high school. I had always known something was off with my adoptive parents, Carol and Mike. They weren't outright cruel, but there was a coldness, a distance that never felt right. I brushed it off for years, convincing myself I was being paranoid. Until that fateful day. I was cleaning out the attic, looking for old family photos for a school project. Instead, I stumbled upon a box full of documents. Among them were letters and bank statements that revealed the truth. My adoptive parents were receiving a substantial amount of money every month for my care. The sender? My biological grandmother, who I had been told was dead. The letters were heartbreaking. My grandma, Margaret, wrote about how she missed me and hoped the money was being used to give me a good life. Carol and Mike never mentioned her, and now I understood why. They were pocketing the money, using it for their lavish lifestyle, while I got the bare minimum. I confronted them that night. Carol's face turned white as a sheet, and Mike's usual calm demeanor cracked. They tried to deny it at first, but the evidence was overwhelming. Carol finally snapped, "We took you in out of pity, Ellie. Be grateful you have a roof over your head." I was livid. "Pity? You're stealing from my grandmother and lying to me. You've never cared about me." The argument escalated, and for the first time I saw their true colors. They admitted they never wanted me, but the money was too good to pass up. They planned to keep me around as long as the checks kept coming. I stormed out, feeling more alone than ever. After the confrontation, I knew I couldn't stay another day in that house. I started planning my escape. I saved every penny I could from my part-time job at the local diner, and I secretly reached out to some old friends for help. The idea of meeting my grandmother gave me hope, but I had no idea where she was. My best friend Jake was a godsend. He offered to let me stay at his place until I figured things out. We spent hours scouring the internet for any information on my grandma. Finally, we found an address linked to her name, but it was over 500 miles away in a small town in Ohio. One night, after Carol and Mike had gone to bed, I packed a small bag with my essentials and climbed out the window. My heart was pounding as I made my way to Jake's car parked down the street. He hugged me tightly, promising everything would be okay. We drove through the night, talking about our plans and what life could be like away from the toxic environment I grew up in. By morning, we were exhausted but hopeful. We decided to rest at a motel before making the final leg of the journey to find my grandmother. We arrived in the small town of Maplewood, Ohio, just before sunset. The town was quaint and felt like a world away from the chaos I left behind. With my heart in my throat, we drove to the address we found online. It led us to a charming old farmhouse on the outskirts of town. I hesitated at the front door, my hand trembling as I knocked. An elderly woman with kind eyes and a warm smile opened the door. "Ellie?" she asked, her voice shaky with emotion. "Grandma?" I replied, tears streaming down my face. She pulled me into a tight embrace, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. We sat down in her cozy living room, and I told her everything. The lies, the stolen money, the years of feeling unwanted. She listened, her eyes filled with sadness and anger. "My dear Ellie, I've been trying to reach you for years. I sent letters, gifts, anything to let you know I was here for you. Those monsters kept everything from you," she said, her voice trembling with rage. I stayed with her that night, feeling a sense of belonging I had never known. She showed me more letters she had written over the years, along with photos of my biological parents. It was overwhelming, but it also felt like pieces of my life were finally falling into place. Living with my grandmother was a dream come true. She was everything Carol and Mike were not: loving, supportive, and genuinely interested in my well-being. She encouraged me to pursue my dreams and assured me that the money she had been sending would be used for my education. I enrolled in a nearby community college, and for the first time, I felt like I had a future. My grandma helped me with my studies, and we spent our evenings cooking together, talking about everything under the sun. Oh, it was a stark contrast to the cold, loveless home I had escaped from. One day, while we were sorting through some old family photos, I came across a picture of my parents. They looked so happy, so full of life. My grandma told me stories about them, painting a picture of a loving couple who were taken from me too soon. But as much as I tried to move on, the trauma of my past lingered. I started seeing a therapist who helped me process the years of neglect and manipulation. It was a long and painful journey, but with my grandma's support, I slowly began to heal. Despite the new life I had built, I couldn't shake the need for closure. I decided to confront Carol and Mike one last time. With my grandma's blessing, I made the trip back to the place that had caused me so much pain. Standing on the porch of my old house, I felt a mix of anger and fear. I knocked, and Carol answered, looking shocked to see me. "What are you doing here?" she sneered. "I came for answers," I replied, my voice steady. "Why did you lie to me? Why did you keep my grandmother's letters and money?" Mike appeared behind her, his face red with anger. "You ungrateful brat! We took care of you when no one else would." "You took advantage of me," I shot back. "You used me for money and made me feel worthless. I deserve better than that." The argument quickly escalated, but this time I didn't back down. I demanded the letters and anything else they had taken from my grandmother. They reluctantly handed over a box filled with my grandma's letters, and I left without looking back. When I returned to my grandma's house, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I had faced my past and reclaimed what was rightfully mine. With her support, I continued my education and eventually transferred to a university to pursue my dream of becoming a teacher. Looking back, I realized that everything I went through made me stronger. I learned the importance of self-worth and the power of love and support. My grandma and I became inseparable, and she was there to celebrate every milestone with me. My adoptive parents tried to reach out a few times, but I made it clear that I wanted nothing to do with them. They had taken enough from me, and it was time to move forward. Now, I'm happily married with children of my own, and I strive to give them the love and support I never had growing up. I'm grateful every day for my grandma, who saved me in more ways than one, and I hope my story can inspire others to stand up for themselves and seek the love and happiness they deserve. I hope my story resonates with those who have faced similar struggles. Remember, you are stronger than you think, and it's never too late to find your own happiness.